meta-morphosis.
Welcome to Meta-morphosis, a channel dedicated to bettering Dota players through informative guides. Today's guide will be on Ember Spirit. To be more specific, it will be on building Ember for a mid lane position. We will begin by going over the ability build, then we'll move on to the item build, and finally we'll talk about playstyle. Please be aware that Dota goes through many gameplay updates. Abilities, items, and hero stats may change slightly after this guide is published. The current update, as of this video being published, is 7.06. The ability build to follow is on screen. We will focus on leveling Flame Guard early. This will help in harassing the opposing mid laner, farming or pushing the creep waves, and surviving any magical abilities from opposing heroes. Since our item build will contain Town Portal Scrolls and a bottle, we will need a level in our Fire Remnant at level 6. This will allow us to throw a Remnant down and then return to the fountain to heal up and fill our bottle, and then immediately get back into our lane. You can also throw one behind your tier 1 tower in the trees for an instant escape. This is especially useful as the current meta is to bring 1 to 2 supports middle for ganks. Sleight of Fist will only get 1 level early, and then will be neglected until we max out our Flame Guard and Searing Chains. This early level in Sleight of Fist is mainly so that we have a simple early game dodge along with our ult. Remember, it can also help you catch heroes with the Sleight of Fist and Searing Chains combo. But overall, since we're focusing on magic damage, we will need to focus on everything but Sleight of Fist. As for the talent trees, at level 10 we'll pick up the plus 8% spell amplification. If you're up against someone like Meepo or Phantom Lancer and you're going to build a Battle Fury, you can pick up the 30 damage instead, but majority of the time this build will use the magic damage over the physical. At level 15 we'll pick up the plus 6 all stats, which will help us with our damage, mana, and survivability. At level 20 you'll need to make a choice. Decide which of the enemy heroes is your problem. Determine what the majority of their damage is. If it's magic, you'll want the plus 500 Flame Guard absorption. But if they're physical attackers, the 10 plus armor will be much better. This is entirely down to your own judgment, as either one of these can help tremendously in certain situations. Then finally, at level 25, we'll pick up the 20% cooldown reduction. When we first get into the game, we'll pick up a Stout Shield, Tangos, and a Quelling Blade. You can also pick up an early TP for when your level 6 hits. You can upgrade the Stout Shield into a Poor Man's Shield if you're being harassed a lot middle, but in most cases I only use it early and would rather spend that extra gold on other things like our bottle and brown boots that we need to finish off our early game build. The first core item will be our Veil of Discord. Once we finish it up, we need to get our Boots of Travel to help with our mobility, and then finally a Maelstrom to help with our farm and pushing. We have a lot of options for the late game. We can finish our Mjolnir for a standard build, we can go for a Bloodthorn if we need the extra damage from the crits, the silence, or the true strike it gives. Most games you'll want to pick up a Linken's at some point, and some games you may want to pick it up first, like if you're up against someone like a Terrorblade. You can also go for a Radiance, which adds even more burn damage and makes enemies have a mischance. Pair this with the Octarine Core to increase your survival rate. Remember, the Octarine provides lifesteal from all your abilities, including Sleight of Fist. Finally, a BKB is a great item to pick up if the enemy team has lots of disables or magic damage. You can even go for this early if need be. A few interesting things to keep in mind. Sleight of Fist applies any effects a physical attack from your hero would. We all know this because of the old standard of Battle Fury and the new standard of Mjolnir, but remember, it can work with other things as well, like an Eye of Skadi or a Desolator. You could even apply those effects to almost an entire team with one Sleight of Fist. This is especially helpful if you're relying on your team for most of your fighting potential. Another interesting thing to note is how items and abilities work in Sleight of Fist. During Sleight of Fist, you can still cast abilities and items. If you're in the middle of it, you can throw down your Veil or Bloodthorn. You can also cast your Remnant and activate it, great for an escape. The thing to keep in mind is that Ember's location is where he is striking. So if you cast Sleight of Fist up the river hill and then cast Remnant back across the river, if you're striking an enemy at the back of the Sleight of Fist area, it will cast the Remnant from that point. So it requires a little bit of timing and awareness to cast things correctly, but it can save you in a pinch. As always, if you follow this guide, you'll be a master at Ember Spirit. And as always, we can't make that promise. This guide is great to get started on playing Ember, but part of Dota is learning when you need to adjust your build. We can't cover every possible situation. You should know your enemy and know your teammates. Use this guide as a base, but be aware you may need to adjust some late game items depending on your playstyle and the enemy heroes. And with that, this guide is finished. We hope you enjoyed watching. Putting these guides together takes lots of time and effort, hence why there are months in between each video. We would appreciate your subscription, and if you really enjoy the content, maybe share this video. Either way, thank you for watching, play smart, and win often.